Right. Hey everybody.
Hello everyone.
So,
Welcome to another episode of The King and I, it's Shirley Walker King, Vincent King here.
yep, the king and I relationship.
So smacking.
I got a peppermint. Sorry.
Eating chicken over here, y'all.
Felicity, can you give me a tissue? I can take this out, please. Welcome to another episode of the King and I Relationship Podcast. This is our Facebook Live that we're doing, and apparently, my producer told me to spit out my peppermint.
Thank you very much.
Whatever, as long as you'll take my wine. We're coming to you guys tonight because we wanted to, people were asking us when we're coming back and doing another live, so we said let's go ahead and get back on the ball of it. As you guys know, we are still under quarantine.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's kind of relaxed. I see a lot of people relaxing. The face mask. You still need to check yourself on that, you know. Everything's pretty much open now. Not 100%, but I would say 85%. So the virus is still active. We're going to see if the heat is actually going to work to kill off the virus, as our top officials have said. So we'll see about that. But I think you guys still should remain safe, conscientious. Did I say that right? Conscientious. Yeah. Wear your gloves. If you're not wearing your gloves, definitely wear your mask and your eye coverings.
Yeah. So we went from a quarantine to a curfew.
Right. Yeah.
Which is a part of the reason why we kind of helped pick this topic, because we wanted to make sure that everybody is pretty much on the same page, and we're all keeping in mind that there's a lot going on in our country right now, and it's hard to even pick and choose what to talk about because you don't want to overshadow anything, and you do want to continue to live and try and live your life as regular as you can. There are things that are happening with accomplishments, and babies are being born, and yet there's still people dying, you know, because men are pressing their knees in their back.
Right. So that's kind of on the back burner now. The coronavirus is on the back burner due to the situation that's going on now with Mr. Floyd, the riots. So you're really not hearing a lot about the coronavirus. Before, that's all you saw on the news. It was like the entire news was about corona.
Yeah, and now we have, there's a lot of protests going on right now. As a matter of fact, the Addison protest is going on tonight in Addison. Shout out to Hadasha and Stefan, who are out there representing Garland. I'm going to say Garland and Rowlett because y'all represent the Kings too. Thank you.
What's up?
So yeah, they made it out there for that, to support that. I was actually out in Addison yesterday for a business meeting, well actually a membership meeting, and it was actually right there where they're doing the protest at, and we were looking around because they were starting to pick up all the tables and the chairs, and we were like, wait, are we in your guys' way? Because it was outdoors, it's under their pavilion and everything. And he was like, no, we just have to pick these up because they're doing the protest here in Addison tomorrow at this very spot. So I was like, oh, okay. Mental note, let that be known. So again, shout out to Hadasha and Stefan McGrew, who are out there being a part of the voice, being a part of the community, and letting our voices be heard, and kind of doing what we have to do so that this does not just die down and be swept under the carpet. So I think one of the reasons we wanted to talk about protest safety is because there are a lot of protests going on right now, and we're hoping and praying that the protests can stay safe. And we're hoping and praying that the protests can stay to the levels where the message is being heard and there's no riots or looting going on, because that's not the ultimate goal. That's not what we want. We want to have these protests so that we can bring awareness to situations that need to be brought to their awareness. Hey, Brian, I see a lot of you guys coming on. Appreciate it. And one of the reasons why we could talk about this is we actually attended one of the protests and rallies in Gina, Louisiana. Remember that one?
Yeah, we actually drove down. We loaded up, me, my wife, my daughter, and Glory went, our goddaughter.
Was it Glory? Or was it, no, it was Lele. Yeah, Lele had just moved down here from San Diego, California.
So one of her cousins then. So yeah, we hit the road and drove down to Gina. And, I'm from the Northeast. So just seeing that, just that whole vibe, that scenery, man, it was really a shock for me. You just think of the swamp. You know, you see that stuff on TV for your northerners that haven't been down in the south, like in kind of going down into the deep south. You know, we're driving, you got swamps on both sides of the highway there, or the two-lane highway. You got people with rebel flags in the back of their trucks as you're driving by. So definitely a sight to see. You know, it's definitely a big eye opener for me. Just something that just wasn't just seen on TV. It was really real life. You know, kind of surreal.
Yeah, and one of the things that we did, because again, we actually pulled Valencia and Starlacia out of school for that, because I felt it was important for them to understand what everything was going on, what was about. Being here in Texas, you know, these states are so close, so it was really here. Like, they really heard about it in school and everything. So we wanted them to know what it was about. So we actually gathered up at Friendship West, the church, because I wanted to make sure that we were going with an organization that was trustworthy, an organization that we knew that when we were going down there, we were going to be as safe as possible, which is one of the tips we wanted to talk about you when we say protest safety. Make sure you know the organizer. And I say to make sure you know the organizer because you are going to be there. You're supposed to be following their lead. So if you know or know of the organizer, know that it's a trustworthy person, and that's a good thing, because they're going to be the ones who are giving instructions on what to do, where to go, when to sit, when to stand. You should be listening to their instructors and not the sideline people's instructions, because it's the sideline people who are distracting everybody from what's really going on. So again, I would pray that you guys are following the leadership of known and well-known people who are doing these protests, because there's a lot of things that go behind protests. Yes, you can just show up and protest because that's your First Amendment right. But however, sometimes they have to get permits.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's best for them to talk with the police department and let the community leadership know what's going on, so that there won't be any conflict.
That's right.
So again, know the organizer just for those simple reasons. When you go to a protest, you also want to be well equipped personally. You want to know your emergency exits. You want to know, you want to have a safe place. Always go with a friend. Let me say that very first.
Don't go by yourself.
Please don't go by yourself. Always go with a friend or a group of people that you know, so that someone knows where you're at. And this is something that Valencia reminded me and taught us as well too. She always says to make sure you write your emergency point of contact with a Sharpie on your arm or leg, so that if something happens to you, people know how to reach the person who can not identify your body, but identify you in the event something goes wrong, that they can say, this is my child, you know, this is whomever, my family member, and, you know, I'm coming to get them out of safekeeping. So that was one, and the reason why she said to use a Sharpie, that way if you sweat or get hit with water, it doesn't wipe off easy, because you guys know how those Sharpies don't go nowhere. So you want to also wear comfortable clothes. Definitely wear comfortable clothes. It is hot in Texas. I don't know what the weather is everywhere else, but in Texas, it was like in 90...
94, 95.
Today. So please dress accordingly. Hydrate yourself, but use the restroom before you leave the house. Because a lot of times the protests are set up in open public areas, and there may not be a public bathroom, and they may have not organized to have porta potties,
Just that around.
porta potties, or porta potties or porta potties. So if the organizers were not able to do that, because as Valencia always says to me, Mommy, everything isn't planned. You're absolutely right. Sometimes things just happen, and you have to jump up in the moment and do what you do. But in saying that, I'm going to revert back to at least know something about the organizer, the person who's putting on the protest. Don't just go to a protest just to say that you were there. That's not going to look good on you or for the people or the movement that we're trying to push it and move forward with. So I did know somebody, know the organizer, have your safety place, have a point of contact, and have your point of contact on yourself. And now...
You said understand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not say that. But please understand why you're protesting. Because if you don't understand the why, maybe you shouldn't be there, because maybe you are that sideliner who's going to be distracting people. So do your research, know the why, know the organizer, know the location, know that you're going with friends, have your emergency information on you, and these days, please have your cell phone fully charged. Record everything. Did I say that?
Yeah, record everything. That's definitely what's going on these days. You know,
Yeah.
that's probably what led to what's going on. Having that recording, and many other things in the past. It just seems like even with the recording, it takes a while.
Yeah.
So just imagine if that wasn't even on tape, if no one ever even saw that. It would definitely wouldn't be any justice.
Yeah.
Make sure you use the bathroom before you go. Try to use the bathroom before you go. But again, maybe they'll have some porta potties.
Yeah.
Some
Porta potties.
porta potties out there for you guys to use. And I know she said, speaking about First Amendment rights. My lips a little dry. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of First Amendment rights, some of those include freedom of speech, freedom of press, all right, freedom of religion, and freedom of speech. I think I said that wrong.
Yeah. So
All
freedom to assemble, freedom of press, freedom of religion, and freedom of speech, which is some the reasons why people do protests and demonstrations. So yeah, we just wanted to make sure we covered the protest safety. Again, always let somebody know where you're going. I can't stress that enough. Know the why, know the purpose, do your research, and stay safe. And I think too, what people don't understand is like when we say that we titled it as more than just staying safe, because it is more than just staying safe. In these days, you have to stay vigilant. You have to stay alert. You have to stay awake, and you have to stay safe, because the most important thing is, yes, you want to get your mission and your purpose out about the protest, but we also need you to return home.
Yeah, definitely. You want to, and we say that at work. Just work safe. The goal is for you guys to return home, the same way you left. So that's that will definitely be a difficult call, for your to have to your family, that whatever the situation is, that you won't be coming home. So you always got to keep that in the back of your mind. Whatever you're doing, be safe. Think about your family, your loved ones. Okay, and and us as Black people, we always talk about staying safe.
Go ahead.
Being the man of the house, you want to protect, be a protector. That's what we do. But being a Black man, it's like you have to kind of dumb it down a little bit. You know what I mean? Because what's going too far? You want to beat your chest and then beat yourself right in the ground. You know what I mean? So you got to know just when to calm down. Don't be so. I don't want to use the word confrontational, emotional, especially when it comes to the police. And I don't want to kind of go to our next topic, but
yeah, because I want to try and see if we can bring in Ben and Shanada Harris with that part. So Valencia's working on that now to see if we can pull Ben Harris and Shanada Harris into the Facebook Live, because I would like to get their opinion on that, because as value pillars of the community themselves, I think they bring a different viewpoint.
Right.
Ben is a former police officer in the military and with the Dallas Police Department. I'm almost sure it's Dallas Police Department. And Shanada Harris is a respiratory therapist and a mask specialist. She makes those famous masks I be wearing with the lips and everything. And I think she's also a very important person in the community. And with so much going on, I think we need to keep a collective voice going. We live in Garland, they reside in the Forney area, and then, we have family and friends who are in Dallas and Fort Worth, and I think everybody continue to communicate with each other is one of the things that we wanted to do. So we definitely want to bring in Ben Harris, again, who's a former police officer with the United States military. I don't know if it was Air Force or...
no, I'm not sure what branch.
We'll find out. And then Shanada Harris, Valencia's kind of letting me know she's going to try and do that now. So we're going to see if we can pull them in. But what we're going to talk to them about is, police encounters. And so when you have police encounters, it's scary. Yeah. Regardless of whether you knew you weren't doing anything wrong, right, or indifferent. I think even when you hear the sirens and you just driving alone and you don't even know if they're behind you, it's still a little scary because
it's
you
like
know,
an
it's the
automatic
unknown.
tense up. You know, it's like, okay, it's running through your mind. Like, okay, what do I need to do? And it shouldn't have to be like that. You know what I mean? So, to some of my Caucasian brothers that I talk to, you know, we have those conversations, and even a couple at work. You know, we just have to teach our kids differently. You know what I mean? When it comes to these issues, anyway. You know, so and like I tell them, you don't have to have the same conversation about. You don't even have to bring that up. For the most part, okay, what do you do when you get stopped by the police? It's like a quiz. I'm like, okay, what do you do in this situation? You know, and again, not getting emotional, because to me, it's like they're waiting for you to. What did I do? No, it's not time for all that. Because, you know, you're at a loss right now. You know, so you do not have the upper hand. So there's no time for you know, to be all emotional and getting loud, getting irate, you know, out of character. That's exactly what I think they want to see. So you just have to stay calm and pretty much don't even say nothing. Just take your lumps and not, okay?
Not your lumps.
Yeah. But you know, whatever. It's a speeding ticket, you take the ticket and go on about your business. All right?
Yeah, you want to remain calm. You want to definitely, if you have the opportunity, to start recording the interaction before they walk up to the car. I think that would be a great thing to do instead of as they're getting close, them not knowing where your hands are and what you're doing. Because I know just with my uncles who are police officers, retired, they're always saying just make sure your hands are in plain sight so that they're not assuming that you're reaching for something. For example, I drive a Acura. It's a charcoal gray Acura with dark windows, and because the car is charcoal gray, it looks darker than normal. So when I'm driving, you don't know if it's a man or a woman.
Right.
And yes, I have been pulled over a time or two. Nothing that I've done. They were wrong in pulling me over for speeding, and I politely let them know that. So, you know. But anyway, there was one occasion where I was pulled over right here in Garland after Valencia had a step team competition from high school. We were at IHOP off Centerville in 635, and it was probably midnight or something after midnight. And again, 12 boys on the step team and about 30-something girls on the step team. It was a lot. In IHOP, we were doing a lot. So I was tired. Valencia and I were driving back to the house, and the officer pulled me over. And what I did was I pulled over in a neighborhood so that we could, you know, not be in the way. And the first thing he said when I rolled the window down, he says, "Have you been drinking?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" I just left IHOP with 30-something cackling little girls. From a step team. I am trying to get home, and the first thing you're going to ask me is, "Have you?" I said, "Do you smell alcohol, or is there something I'm missing?" And again, I probably did respond initially wrong, just because I did do the "Excuse me, Shirley Walker King, sister girl" head
Well,
swing.
again, and how many years ago was that? That's when our daughter was in high school.
Yeah.
So that was some years ago. I don't recommend that now. You know what I mean? But that was at least 7.
Oh, more than 7.
Yeah.
Do we have to do it on the laptop? Yeah, it was more than 7 because she's been out 10 years. But there's been occasions, you know, where we've had to have interaction with police officers, and I just reminded the kids, the girls, the grown-ups, my mother, my brother, everybody, just try your best to remain calm.
Yeah.
That's the first thing, is because if you get upset, they're going to be upset, and no matter how you look at it, they got the upper hand.
Oh yeah.
No matter how.
And all they gotta, you know, I always say they're the biggest gang in America. Is they one phone call, buddy, and they can have 100 people on the scene in 5 minutes. So you know, it's best for you to keep your cool. And again, especially for the men, you know, being a man in the house, a protector, protecting your family, man. You know, and it's not about bowing down. It's about protecting yourself, returning home to your loved ones. And again, I know once our daughter got pulled over before, and she had her phone. You know, so when the cop actually pulled her over, you know, he was basically saying, "Ma'am, we need you to get off the phone." So we did tell her, just put it on speakerphone and lay the phone on the seat so we can hear what's going on. Okay. So that's another. You don't have to be loud and boisterous about it. You know, you can put it on.
And that's something else that we have educated and Valencia has educated our friends on as well. Know who's with you in your car as well. Valencia was on a trip going to cover one of the Dallas Mavericks in Houston, Texas once, and she took another reporter with her. And they were pulled over in one of the little towns between here and Houston. Oh, we weren't even. I'm sorry, yeah. Technically, when the officer pulled them over, they said, it says Abby. It says they weren't even in the town. But she was pulled over, and Valencia immediately told her, turn your recorder on and start recording. And she got paranoid. She's like, no, you shouldn't record. And Valencia's like, we are in the middle of nowhere land. Nobody knows where we're at. We could barely get a signal because Valencia was trying to call 911 to say, I am being pulled over. Well, I have a car with lights behind me that's telling me to pull over, but I don't feel like it's safe for me as two women to pull over right now. What do I do? Valencia, you can kind of add anything if you want. Right, this could be our parents not knowing anything about where we're at. But she couldn't have that argument with her at the time because they were being pulled over. I suggest again if you can't pull over.
Okay. Can you just,
I think.
I can't hear.
But yeah, you want to make sure that you communicate with people in your car what the case may be. So now we have a professional person who's actually been in law enforcement, one in the military, and as a civilian. One in the military and as a civilian. So Mr. Ben Harris and Shanada Harris, welcome to the Facebook Live.
Oh, thank you for having us.
You're quite welcome. Right off the bat, Ben, I didn't even want to address this issue without having some backup, if you will, to say, what do you suggest and recommend for people as they encounter police officers?
Well, my personal advice, I used to get a family members. And, when I was a cop, I said, listen, when you get pulled over by the police, insurance out, because that's what they're going to ask for.
Okay.
All right? And I used to always tell them, I said, don't worry about why he pulled you over. Don't even waste your time. Because if you get the wrong one, you can escalate it.
Right.
9 times out of 10, he's going to tell you. And 9 times out of 10, you know what you got pulled over for anyway. Registration, speed, fail to signal, tint. Come on. So you have to make sure you stay cool. Whenever I get pulled over by police or whatever, I have my driver's license, insurance. It's at night, I let all the windows down, I turn the interior light on.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Now, my situation from the average black man is different because I can speak the terminology.
Okay.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where we can communicate. So I tend not to be stressed out because I don't have to experience some of the things that the other brothers do. But when I have pulled over people, some minorities, I've had some of them say, hey, why the F you pulled me over? You just escalated the problem.
Okay.
Because you have to remember, police officers are taught when you get somewhere, you're in control. That's what they teach in the police academy. Take care of the situation, you're in control. So basically, when we're on the side of a road, I know the law backs me 100%. Right? So I'll give you an example. If I pull Vincent over, I don't like the way Vincent looks or he look at me, and I tell Vincent, you know what, step out the car, you're under arrest. The Texas law said regardless if the arrest is lawful or unlawful, Vincent can't resist.
So as soon as I say,
you know what,
I don't want, I'm not getting out this car white, I'm resisting arrest, and there it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what happened is if we don't know the law, we kind of put ourselves at a disadvantage. Because in law enforcement, the culture, at one time we had what we call a pop charge. And I'm kind of telling some of the secrets, but a pop charge is pissed off police.
Stop police.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you, so I've seen things that might not be right. I've seen people take ass whoopings that they might not necessarily had gotten if they kept quiet. And I'm just telling you guys the truth, right?
No, that's why I wanted to have you on. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen reports not accurately say what happened. because the police always have to justify their action. If you get mace, right? You get mace or taser. My first thing is going to be a police report. Hey, the subject clenched his fist and approached me in an aggressive manner. At that time, I tased him.
Wow.
If you listen to what I just said, I haven't been a police officer like 8-9 years, and I can memorize. I can say it perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Right.
what black people have to learn is learn what's going on, talk to other officers and say, well, hey, what do I need to do and what I don't need to do? And it'll kind of minimize that. And when you get pulled over, you have to realize, regardless of the officer, black, white, or whatever, you're not in control because the law does not back you.
Right.
So unfortunately, you have to humble yourself. But if you get to go home tonight, that's the goal.
Exactly.
You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's why I said too. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, we have to teach our kids that, and like, I told my daughter, I said, hey, you get pulled over, give them a driver's license, insurance, if you get arrested, call me, I take care of it, but don't ever resist. There's no reason for you to cuss or whatever, because we had another saying that it was saying, you might beat the rap, but you won't beat the ride. Which means I'm taking you to Loose Stairs. I'm taking you to Loose Stairs tonight. You can't beat the ride. Right? If I don't have my documentation right or whatever, the district attorney might drop the case.
Right.
But guess what? You just got you had your car towed.
Yeah.
You went to rest. You had to bail out. You might have to go get a lawyer. It made an inconvenience on your life, and that's one of the disadvantages that police officers have too. You kind of see what I'm saying? So it just you got to understand the system and you got to respect it within its boundaries. But to circumvent it, you have to get out and vote.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
You see what I'm saying? We got to get good lawyers. We got to get good judges. We got to get a city council that's going to hold people responsible.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have to watch some of these police unions. It's just like there's a union that I see that I think they kind of discriminate against black chiefs, and it's headed by a Hispanic guy. Because every time I see something, they always talk about the chief. I'm like, the chief is not in the streets.
Right.
Because you shot that guy.
Yeah.
You shot him. Y'all whooped him.
Yeah.
The chief. Why y'all keep talking about the chief policies? So we have to support our black chiefs and different things like that, but we got to hold them accountable. Because guess what? Sometimes they have to play the game because they're dealing with obstacles that we deal with.
Yeah. Right.
And like you say, within and let me tell you something else. Within law enforcement, there is discrimination.
Right.
See, black officers and white officers have issues too.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. I believe that. I definitely believe that.
Yeah. Now the thing about it is, if I got into a street fight with some guy or whatever, he could be black, white, or whatever. When the cavalry showed up, they looked at it as me and them against you. They don't give a damn what color you are.
Okay.
You finna get whooped, right? I've seen white folks, Hispanics, all of them get whooped. So you kind of have to understand it's two dimensions. Yeah, it's kind of like the police officers. They kind of deal with society. They have a certain perception. They have laws that back them up. I give you another example where people should know by getting kids in, because I was going through the police academy, and one time we was at the firearms training, and I tell people this story all the time. And I said, and a guy, the instructor was white, and the guy that asked the question was white. He asked me, he said, well, if we shoot him 2 times to the chest, why do we shoot 1 to the head? And the officer, plain as day, and I never forget it, he said, that way you only get one side of the story. So when you see a guy get shot 20 times, it's a reason. He can't defend himself.
Yeah.
So it's being taught. The neck thing, law enforcement is not going to admit it, but I can tell you another scenario. They said if you control the head, you control the body.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why police officers put their knees on the neck.
Right.
They've been doing that for years. It's something that's taught. It might not be documented,
Right.
Right.
but it's taught. So you got to kind of know what's going on. One time I had a dirty officer. I was having a party, and somebody else was fighting, and he told me I need to take care of the fight. And I told him I wasn't worried about it. He said, "Well, I can take you to jail." And then I told him, I said, "You can take me to jail if you want to. I got bond money, so I got a pop charge, pissed off police." He said, "Okay, you're under arrest for disorderly conduct." I didn't cuss because I know cussing in public is disorderly conduct. So I didn't cuss. I didn't do anything. And you know what I did? I went there and turned around because, like I told Vincent, if I resisted, it had got me on that charge.
Right.
I can't even fight that charge.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So we got to kind of educate our kids on what they can do, when to fight, when not to fight.
Yeah. And that's why I said
So
about being emotional. You know, I mean, I think we're definitely emotional. You know what I mean? So let's, take the emotions out of it. And for the most part, just try to keep your mouth closed. Because again, if you get pulled over for whatever reason, especially if you know the reason, just go ahead and take that one. You already know what you did. So why put up a fuss about it and give them a reason?
Yeah, because there's a lot of good police officers out there that don't give people trouble.
Right.
You know, I've caught guys driving the wrong way down the street downtown. I remember one night, I turned the guys around. I looked in the vent and seen the guy had a blunt that wasn't even lit. And it wasn't about how many people I can take to jail. I just took the vent, I took the blunt, and I just, put it on the ground and stumped it out. Told them the guys have a nice night.
Right.
But I could have, I could have field sobriety test. I could have arrested, possession. I could have did all of that. But why? Over a blunt?
Right.
Yeah.
So I give y'all another scenario. I remember one time I was on patrol and a black woman drove off from the police. And I heard it come over the radio. It was day shift. I was down there by the courthouse. I pulled a lady over. I was in a patrol car. She ran from the bike officers. And I pulled her over, hit the lights, walked up to the car, explained it to her. Hey, the officer said you didn't stop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Explained it to her. She was cool with me. She used one profanity. And she said, well, that motherfucker was rude. I said, well, ma'am, I ain't got nothing to do with that. I just said, ma'am, I ain't got nothing to do with that. You ran from the police. You was detained and coming up here. And I remember the white officer.
They froze up. So, okay, got you?
Yeah, we got you.
I said, what do you mean? Why she not on the ground? She said, well, she ran. I said, she ran from you. She didn't run from me.
Right.
You see, so it depends on the officers that's pulling you over and the person that's being pulled over, how we communicate.
Question. I'm sorry. When you said, okay, so when he pulled up, but it's your scene at that moment. Can he just interject but you have control of that scene at the moment, or could he have just ran in there and grabbed her? And
well, the thing about it is, he wouldn't have grabbed her because I had already had her out standing in front of my car. Cameras are rolling, and he would have slammed her. She would have hit the fan.
Right.
okay.
You see what I'm saying? It wouldn't have been no justification because now I can't even back you up. Even if I'm standing behind the wall, they're gonna say, "Well, Harris didn't slam her."
Right.
She was standing there.
Okay.
So it would have made him look bad. So I think they took her to jail or whatever. But like I said, she was okay with me, but she felt disrespected. So sometimes you get some of those guys that actually put the Superman logo under their bulletproof vest. They have it.
Right.
So they already have a agenda or a objective.
Right.
And and there's been times where I remember seeing a guy right there by the Bank of America building one time. I don't know what happened. It was a group of black guys, and I showed up, and one guy mouth was just bloody, and he had gold teeth, and it was just blood with all that. And he was like, "Man, look at me," and all this, and I'm kind of looking at him, and really didn't know the story, but I remember the officer told me. He said, I tried to knock all his goals out of his mouth.
Okay.
And that same officer still working because I seen him one night. I was watching First 48, and he had arrested a guy on a murder charge, and the guy's still in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And I
see what I'm
think
saying?
that's the part I think where we, like you said, we need to have an open dialogue and communicate with our family and our friends. So I appreciate you going over there, but I want to make sure people don't miss some of the things that you said. So one of the things that you said is when you're pulled over, to one, have your license and registration available. You said to let down all your windows and turn on your dome light.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you recommend when they're saying putting your hands on the dash or out the window?
Well, I guess it kind of depends. You can put them out the window, but a lot of times, if you're talking to the officer, sometimes you can feel that vibe.
Okay.
And as an officer, you can feel the vibe of the driver you just pulled over too.
Right.
You know, and I remember one time I felt a white guy was gonna shoot me one time when I pulled him over. He had just got a divorce. And it was just something I just felt he was gonna shoot me.
Yeah.
But I had to de-escalate, and whatever the reason was, I wound up getting the guy a warning.
Okay.
And he said something like, because I said, well, try to have a good day. And he said something like, well, it almost went bad. And I said to myself, if I'd have wrote that, because when I was in a patrol car, I took a deep breath because some said, Ben, he gonna shoot you when you go back up there.
Wow.
So I took a deep breath and said, all right. Basically said, fuck it, going back up there. So I went back up there, but I didn't have the Superman cape on.
Right.
It wasn't about me being Superman.
Right.
The man, I think he got a divorce. I think the wife took everything, and I think he probably halfway suicidal. And I could have just ticked him off. And I gave him a warning. And he made that comment, and I went back to the car, and I said, and I just said to myself, that guy was gonna shoot me.
Yeah.
So not only do you have a threat of law enforcement, but law enforcement deal with a lot of threats.
Yeah.
You know, you got some bona fide killers out here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And we definitely get that and understand that. I think I'm trying to make sure that our community as minorities, Black and brown people, understand that you do not have the upper hand when it comes to your interactions with officers once it goes wrong. You need to try, like you said, to remain calm, because you don't know what they've gone through and what they're bringing to the table, and they don't have an idea what you've gone through and why you're getting pulled over, whatever the case may be. So I think the bottom line for that one is that everybody, like you said, needs to try and remain calm and deal with things, you know, on a calm, level-headed basis.
Like I said, give your driver's license, insurance, you know, just say, hey, officer, how you doing? Because it can be a simple thing. Like I remember one night pulling over a guy, I thought I was going to arrest him for DWI. But come to find out, he was having a mild seizure. He was foaming at the mouth, but he gave all the symptoms of a DWI.
Right.
So technically, they might have been like, well, that officer messing with that guy. But no, he was giving me signs of DWI. But guess what? I probably saved the guy's life by pulling him over.
Right. Right.
So it's different things when we deal with law enforcement. We have to look at it individual basis. You got to look at like a message is two ways: the sender and the receiver.
Correct. And speaking of that, our next action category is dealing with facing racism head on and dealing with the Karens of the world, if you will, the women, not just the women, but the people of non-Black descent who want to use their white privilege as a weapon by calling police officers and saying, I feel threatened by this, you know, tall Black man, or this Black woman is threatening me and my children, which just happened recently too. It's like, you know, you have to communicate with your family that they have a privilege that they can use against you no matter what the situation, but you have to go into it calmly. I tell people all the time right now, these cell phones are a weapon.
Yeah, definitely.
Because a lot of these people, if they are not catching these negative racist people talking crazy to them, we wouldn't believe it. And the cop would have gotten there and probably just automatically went to the Black person thinking that they'd done something wrong, except that now both parties have filming of it to show that this other person was the one acting ignorant.
Yeah, and with us, man, and it's not even shocking to us. You know what I mean? And I tell a lot of folks, especially one of my white brothers I talk to at the job, I'm like, dude, as long as I've been living, this is stuff that we dealt with. Everybody has dealt with some form or fashion of racism. Man, we've dealt with this all of our life, man. This is nothing new. Now you, on the other hand, you're all shocked and discombobulated about what happened, what you saw. But it's jacked up, but it's not like we jump like, oh, did you see that? Man, it's like normal for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Shanada, do you have any examples or anything where, you know, you've had to deal with racist people making either racist comments or making racist jokes, which a lot of times it's sad that we have to differentiate between someone who is racist and someone who did a racist action.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was about to happen. What I can say is like recent items that I could say that we deal with. For instance, is like our neighborhood group. And I honestly say, especially now that I've gotten older, I can see that I've been used as a token.
Yes.
You know, so I've been that one. Like, okay, she looks different, she acts different, she speaks different. I can tell. But again, a lot of naivety growing up even from a small town and coming to Texas. I see that, and I think I've been in a position where people have treated me different than what they've treated other people. But what I see today in regards of things that we deal with some of the Karens, and is making little comments in our groups, Facebook groups and things like that about, did you see, it was basically, you'll see there was somebody walking down the street, African-American male, and he looked suspect. Well, what's suspect about looking or walking down the street? What's suspect about that?
That he was black.
Yeah. It's always a suspicion every time you see us. But yet they don't know the person behind it, or they don't know really what's going on. So, I mean, and that's really not any specific examples, but in terms of what I've been seeing a lot here lately is just like the incident that happened with the bird watcher that was caught on camera.
Right.
Those types of things of just more so of things, they look suspicious.
Right.
And it just always happens to be us looking suspicious, doing something normal.
And that could have got that man, that really could have got that man killed. Like people don't really realize that. We do again, but that was, that was a death threat to that man. That definitely could have ended horribly wrong. The police could have showed up. All they're thinking is this white woman is getting attacked. That's what they heard. You can hear it in her voice. They're gonna come out blazing.
She should go out for acting school. She really should, because she put on a performance.
She went way up there real quick.
She went from 0 to 100 real quick, dog and all. Poor little dog was getting slanged around and choked. We can make light of stuff like that, but the fact and the reality is we get put in little boxes because of who we are. Like with the black women, we get tagged as the angry black woman if you stand up for something that you believe in. You get tagged as the angry black mother if you go to the school to put something to correct a wrong that's been done. I mean, I had that item forever with Valencia's high school, because I was in their face. You can call me the angry black woman, the tall black, you call me what you want, but what you will call me is a woman who gets things done and a woman who's going to make you correct your wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, Ben, let me ask you another question. And I know this is Valencia. If she gets pulled over, she will always drive to a well-lit area. So did you ever have that situation? So if she doesn't feel comfortable, say coming down Centerville and it's a dark area, she'll just drive up a little further to maybe that filling station or store where it's well lit. Will that bother,
Right, but we tell her to put her, she told her always put her hazards on and slow down. And then Valencia automatically will call 911 to say, I am being pulled over. She's been pulled over twice, no tickets. And both situations, she had to say, I'm being pulled over. I'm single in a car. I have my hazards on and I'm driving to a safe, well-lit place. She actually crossed over from Rowlett to Garland. So of course the Rowlett was a little upset with that. But once he got to the window and she said, I'm single, I'm by myself, this is a dark road, I had nowhere to go and I didn't know if this was a legit officer.
Well, yeah, I've heard that concern. I remember somebody pulled over. I call it pull that stunt with me. because they drove so far,
Yeah, well,
right? Y'all want the truth, or I can sugarcoat it.
yeah, right.
And I recall back when the lady did it, it actually pissed me off because I didn't have any bad intentions towards her.
Right.
Whatever I was pulling over for, I was just going to talk to her and go on about my business. So me personally, I knew I wasn't a threat, but I have to reflect back and realize it's been so many threats out there that people have to do that. It wasn't really against me, that she did it. It was kind of like, the parents are teaching their kids to try to safeguard their health. Sometimes you can get a guy that might be aggressive and wants to kind of cause a confrontation and act like you're failing to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it just depends on the officer. Officer can be like, cool, I respect it. You drove a quarter, 2 blocks or whatever. But if you drive a half a mile, your ass might be in trouble by the time I get up there to the car. you kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
And I'm a black.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to realize, so a lot of times they make the thing black and white with the officers. Sometimes it's just not black and white. Sometimes it's just common sense.
Right.
And sometimes black people, I've seen some black people escalate a situation where it could have been calm by just being quiet.
Right.
Yeah, and
You
this
see what
was
I'm saying?
actually, this was like around 2005 or 6, and I think there was a couple of people who were pulled over because they had fake police lights on their cars.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What did
Yeah,
you say?
yeah,
Yep.
I remember that.
And she said they were snatching girls. So I mean, it was a big stuff on the news. So I think during that time, the officer probably understood.
That's the double-edged sword. It's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Exactly.
And all people have to kind of adjust their activity when you have people out there doing that.
Yeah.
Representing police officers and doing different things like that. So,
Is it more? Do you feel like it's more appropriate to go ahead and what would be about a safe distance for kind of both a medium ground for both people?
Well, if it's dark or something like that, a dark road or whatever, it's not a lot of houses or whatever. Yeah, if you turn your hazard lights on, you clearly slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe put your hand out the window to let him know that he's back there. You identify. And then, I heard some officers come on the radio like, hey, I guess there's, individuals trying to find a safe spot. So you get some officers that just like that.
Right.
They say, hey, I'm trying to find a safe spot. But if I'm going down my street and you think I'm finna follow you home,
Right.
So the thing about it, okay, I'm gonna follow you home, right? But now you're finna get a ticket for everything I can think of.
Understand.
Right. I got you.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And soon as you say the cuss word,
You about to take that ride, like you said earlier. I don't know if you guys know. Yeah.
yeah. So it just depends on depends on.
I don't know if you're freezing up, so I'm going to keep talking here. One other thing I wanted, you and Vincent both can kind of address this one, being that you guys are in the military, now that, 45 is trying to call in the National Guard. I think people need to understand that there is a huge difference between the National Guard and your local police officers.
Yeah.
Because there was an episode where I saw Keke Palmer was addressing the National Guard in DC. I'm gonna say DC, it may have been New York, and asking them to march with her and bow and take a knee. And they were some very good National Guard gentlemen who sat there and held a conversation with her. But I need America to understand there is a difference. National Guard who have been given orders, and it is their job and their duty, versus your local police officer. You guys can take that.
Well, I'm like this. Okay.
But me and Vincent, we don't have too many problems with military.
Right, and I'm saying you guys know the difference. But I'm saying the society out here who are out at these protests, which are being calm and everything right now, but Agent Orange, our number 45, is trying to call in the National Guard, and I just want people to be. I want to be proactive and educate our world and our community, that there's a huge difference.
Yeah, but you know, the thing about it, when I hear about them calling the military and the National Guard, and sometimes with the police officers, people still have to remember those individuals have families at home too.
Yeah.
And they're not protected like me and Vincent might be protected by being, you know, the color blue or whatever. And if that police officer does something wrong to someone else, their karma can come back to where another police officer does that to his family. So sometimes, you know, you be careful. But like you say, if you treat people with respect, you do the job honestly. A lot of times you go home that night, and that's what it's all about. Everybody going home. The police are here to protect us. But I have a strong belief with black people. If they're not there, you know, you need to get them out your neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know, the police not going to hold. I believe this to my heart. Hold the police accountable the same way you hold a guy that stepped on your shoes accountable in the club. If you're willing to fight him, you're willing to fight him and do 20 years over somebody stepped over your shoes. You need to do 20 years of that guy come to your neighborhood and disrespect.
Right.
All right now.
That's just me being a man.
Yeah.
You know, and if they know that they can't run over you, they ain't gonna come mess with you.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
You see, I've seen guys that was cool with the undercovers and knew them and all that, the drug narcs and knew them, they was cool, but I'm like, their goal is to lock your ass up.
Right.
Yeah, y'all acting like y'all cool, calling his name out like you're gonna get props, like, oh, he gonna send you to the penitentiary. He don't give a damn about you.
Yeah.
And then the district attorneys don't care about you. That's why I tell people, quit worrying about a jump shot, 3-pointer, football. We need to be police officers, we need to be correctional officers, we need to be judges, district attorney. And then after you vote, we need people to show up for jury duty.
Yeah, that's right.
Preach. That's my biggest one right there.
Yeah.
I think people forget when they always say, well, you know, I'm not serving jury duty. Well, then you may have just sent an innocent man to prison or innocent man or woman to prison because you didn't want to serve jury duty so that person could be tried by the community, a jury of their peers, if you will. But it's not of their peers if all of us black people are saying we're not going to serve jury duty. That's why they have a jury of 12 white people up there, 12 white, angry, racist people, because we don't want to take the time out and serve on jury duty. Serve damn jury duty so you can save a life.
And I will say I was guilty of that. This was years ago, just trying to find a reason not to. You know, you go in there and say something crazy, just not, you know. And of course, as you mature and just with life, man, you know, it's like, okay, when I go now, I take it serious, you know. If it's a reason for me to be on there, I'm trying to be on it, you know, not trying to find a reason to get out of there. So I think. But I gotta give you,
I gotta give black people some more advice. We have to stick together. Like I think the black officer in Mesquite shot the one black guy in the back.
Yes.
You know, he was guilty. He should have went to the penitentiary. But our communities, we have to stick together, kind of like the Hispanics. I remember one time, if y'all remember, over there in South Dallas, used to be 2nd Avenue, and I think was it 2nd Avenue? It was one street. Was it 2nd Avenue? SFA Higgins? No, it might not be. No, Cesar Chavez. That was the street.
Yeah.
And they were thinking about not changing it to Cesar Chavez, and it was about 100,000 Mexicans downtown protesting.
Yep.
Over a street. 100,000 Hispanics. But we see brothers get whooped and everything. We don't even go to the city council meeting.
Right.
Get shot. You see what I'm saying? So they don't fit. So they said, well, we can do what the hell we want to. You know, just like the one brother that hugged the white officer, talking about I'm sorry and all this about I forgive you. Like, you know, let God forgive her.
Oh no.
We gotta, you know, if you're gonna be held accountable, let them be held accountable. If God wants to, you know, I believe in God, but I read some scriptures like God said, I will strike down upon thee with greater vengeance. So why do I have to be peaceful?
Right. Oh yeah, there's levels to all of this, and there's a time to be calm, there's a time to be radical, and then there's a time to be big.
Yeah. So but like you said, we just got to kind of educate ourselves in all these different areas, and then we know how to maneuver, and we'll be a lot safer. We'll be a lot independent. Like you say, you know, I told my wife, black people got to start supporting black people, because a lot of our black people get in corporate America. You're afraid to post on Facebook exactly how you feel because they control your income.
Right.
Yeah.
But if we create our own businesses and we buy from each other, like I was telling them the other day, I said a Hispanic can come over here, be 30 years old, can't hardly speak English, and have a business.
Right.
Yeah.
Mowing yards and doing everything. We've been here 400 years. And what you do, you complain about the black people prices too high. Well, you know what? If you come to my store more often, I can lower my prices because I'm moving bigger product.
Yeah. I was actually having a conversation with a friend today about, you know, she said she actually found a black beauty supply place in Arlington. If Valencia give me the name, I'll give it a shout out. And she was saying, you know, she was shocked that she found it. She said it's actually closer to her house, so she's definitely going to be frequenting that place more often, and just period, to get her beauty supplies, because she didn't even know it was there. And of course, yeah, the prices may be a little higher, but again, that's because the other cultures overrule that and they try and blackball them. So yeah, if you go to a black business or small business, you may have to pay prices a little higher, but you need to support them so that, like you said, when they get to that level, they may be able to lower their prices.
That's right.
You know, Valencia's going to give me the name of that one. But speaking of businesses, Ben, you also have a tax service, am I correct?
Yeah.
You want to give us the name and how people can reach out to you, since the deadline for taxes has been extended?
Yeah. No, they can Google us or go to Facebook, BNT Tax. We'll get them taken care of. You know, the thing about taxes, and I go back to supporting black businesses. You know, we have a diverse crowd to come in there, black, Hispanic, you know, white, and different things like that. So, you know, when you're in a black business, try to cater to different ethnic, you know, background, and that increase your success rate also.
Oh yeah.
And
and the beauty supply in Arlington, don't even know we're giving her a shout out, but it's called Be Polished Beauty Supply Store in Arlington, Texas. Black owned, and it looked like she knows what she's doing over there. She had all the products that Valencia's friend needed, so that's a good one. Another business is the mask.
Oh Lord.
My favorite one is so they can reach those that is it medical. Yeah, say the website.
So just a quick background in terms of the mask. The website's being repurposed for COVID-19 purposes. Initially, it was created to serve post-operative recovery patients. So in the future, we'll transition it back to serving the needs for post-operative recovery patients.
Okay.
But right now, our efforts is actually just to create the mask to reduce the exposure and the spread of COVID-19. So I've had the ability to get those manufacturers like that, and just try to, you know, get the ultimate protection for everybody, not just another mask, but one that's of good quality.
Right, and so they can all get more information on that on your Facebook page as well if they want it. Then that's Shanata Harris, and then of course Mr. Ben Harris. We'll have that information, and we'll try and put the comments later for that. But we just want to really thank you guys for being on the show with us today. I really appreciate having you on here with your background, being again in the police force, again both in the military and as a civilian. I applaud you. I thank you for your services on both sides of that. I honor you and thank you for the information you were able to provide the community tonight. I hope that someone was able to learn something from that and be able to use that in the future so that they don't end up on the wrong side of the law and having to take that ride.
Man. Yep.
Hey, and with that, I know what she was saying with the difference between the National Guard. So again, when they're called in, so whatever force they use, of course, they're backed by the president. Am I right? So, you know, that's just like, you know, you have some. I kind of equate this to my uncle being called back in the day. Services within the family. So my uncle was always the one that was called. So, you know, you put your hand on your lady, you know, and if somebody called my uncle, when he comes, there's no more talking. You know what I mean? So when he's called, there's no talking. He coming in taking care of business. So I kind of equate that to that with the National Guard. Again, most of them guys seem kind of civilized, like you said, Ben. They have families, just they have families as well. They want to make it home to their families, but in the something does happen, they're pretty much protected by the president. I don't see anything really happening to them guys.
Yeah.
You know, if they have to use lethal force.
Yeah. Now, half of the problem with the president is our problem because we didn't go vote like we did when Barack was
Oh
there.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So like I said, we can, sometimes we blame other outsourced, outside, like what's his name, Al Sharpton talking about, your knee on my neck or your foot on my neck. Yeah, so we deal with different things like that, but it's certain things that we have to do, within ourselves.
Right.
Our own communities to protect it. We got to stop shooting and killing each other. We just, we got to start protecting our women more. Kind of like I was telling Shanada at one night, the one little the white guy that hit the sister downtown in Deep Ellum. I'm talking about vicious.
Yeah.
We got too many gangster rappers out in Dallas for that man not to get touched.
Dealt with. I'm sorry. I'm a drink to that.
And all these people recording, man.
But,
if you see somebody, you see a sister getting beat in these Asian shops, in these nail shops, in these hair shops, and you want to sit there and record it and say, man, that's messed up. And you as a man, you're not gonna take care of that. You're gonna sit there and watch and record that. That I don't consider that a man for you to. Okay, it's one thing to record it, but you just let that go on.
Yeah. We gotta start protecting our own, and like you said, you was talking about the National Guard and different things like that. We need to start training our family with firearms and different things like that. We need to go get our gun license, and that way, because sometimes you just need to even the fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you notice what we do a lot when it comes to police brutality, they call the black community what they call faith leaders.
Mm-hmm.
They always call those guys.
Yeah.
But when it comes to white folks, they go get lawyers and file lawsuits.
Yeah.
They take care of
get them
business.
in the pocket.
Yeah, and like you say, and if we start supporting each other, you want to do the house pesticide, you need to be a black guy working for a black company. Lawn care, black guy. Mama yard, black guy. You might not own Allstate, but if you have your own little individual Allstate insurance, that's what I want to purchase. That way we kind of support each other, and one should disappear.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, so I think the bottom line is we want everybody to know that it's more than just staying safe. It's about being smart. It's about being protective, and it's about uniting as one, as a community. We have to get back to our own village and take care of our village. That's just something that the generations before did us. And I don't know if it's that we feel like we're comfortable now or we don't need that, and we do. Society has shown us, you better stick together, we'll take you apart.
Yeah. Well, that's why they feared the Nation of Islam at one time, because they were educated and they were disciplined.
Right.
And they wasn't afraid. So we kind of lost track of that because a lot of us are Christians. So we didn't follow for us not to have solidarity. And like you said, you got people in law enforcement that's in the military. We need to be starting getting the information from those guys how to handle ourselves in public to where we can avoid some of these conflicts.
Yeah.
And some are going to be unavoidable because you have those people, like I was telling Shannon, I read an article a couple of years ago where they were talking about white supremacists and different things like that are entering our law enforcement and our military.
Right.
But all I see my brothers on Facebook talking about every Sunday is the Cowboys game. Like, we got to get our priorities straight.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Yeah.
Definitely. It sounds like we definitely need to do a part 2. We'd love to have you guys back on to talk about that community aspect of it.
Yeah, we need to continue this conversation next week, hopefully. We can kind of go a few more hours on this one.
Yeah.
We need to close it out.
The conversation tonight was more than just about staying safe. Again, we wrapped it all up. If you didn't get something from this, and then you just missed it. I don't know what to tell you. Because we pretty much touched on of just about everything that the Black community needs to keep educating itself on in order to move forward to being back to that unified village that we used to be. We can do it. We are the ones who showed them how to do it. And they took that from us. Now we need to get it back.
Mhm.
Watch out.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop something on that. Yeah, drop the mic. Yeah.
Dr. King over here, y'all.
So again, thank you for tuning in to the King and I Relationship Talk with Vincent and Shirley King. And our tonight was Ben Harris and Shanada Harris. Thank you guys for being with us. We will see you guys next week.
Appreciate y'all. We talk to y'all later.
Thank you, guys.